Yo, what's good, y'all? It's Mystic. We're gonna break down the track MKULTRA.
Swerved in my Benz, made my fortunes on the curb. The link, the earth, pay me like the first. I'm the cross bridge sport. Get hurt, I got work. My homeboys will get you, pay you on the 33rd. 2 pints of lean, I have me slurring on my words. Undertaker car, triple black drop.
Some of y'all might know it as 15 in the first. Here we go. So pretty much I started with Fatty Sustain, something to drill him, and it was this dirty square right here. The main sauce actually comes from the distortion and the compressor. I love the compressor on here too. The gain is without the distortion. So the distortion really brought it out. I hard clipped it and turned up the drive, but I just really pushed it because I felt Serum has a really good compressor within itself. By the way, I used this before Serum 2 dropped, so shout out Serum 2. I love Serum 2, but this is cool. They still use this type of stuff. The main sauce comes from the flow and the counter synth. So the counter synth is right here. The reason why it's pumping like that is because I have a sidechain, but honestly, I could take it off and show you how it sounds without it. And then I just do a simple trap loop. Well, not a loop, but I actually wrote the drums. But I like making trap type of stuff, so this is what I got for it, and I kept it very simple. So this is how it sounds with the drums.
Yes, a vibe.
And then just a little ear candy as well. So that's why I have the call and responses.
Okay.
Okay. It was okay. And then we got the what's up? What's up? Iconic.
This a mystic show.
And this vocal actually was a TikTok sample. It literally was just a random video from TikTok. I chopped it up. And use it as the buildup. A lot with the ear candy of what I was doing too. I wanted to shout out the posse. I've been doing a lot of just tagging through music and wanted to do it for the posse, man. So I put that on there. A lot of it just came together with simplicity, you know. This is how I do my processing. At this time I was stacking. I really just did it on the fly. There was another version of it that I did without it when I finalized it through compression. But what I did use was the neutron compressor. So I used a neutron compressor to process the drums, and I went right here, adjusted the threshold a bit, but I didn't really do much. I just kept it in this range. Yeah, I went from here. That's how I got my drums to sound like this. Yeah, so they're just knocking. They're like cutting.
Okay.
What I do as well is the transient shaper on there for my neutron transient shaper, and then I do the same thing for my hi-hats, and I also do the same thing for my the triangle too. And then I'll go to emphasized. Sometimes I'll go to snappy. Even their percussion setting is really good, but like for the drums, like the kick and snare, I like it to be like real punchy, so, or like just present in general. So they're really on point with how it cuts through, and I really don't have to do that much to have it cut through. But sometimes when so when I press play on here, you'll be able to hear it. Like now the clap is like hitting more versus with
What's up?
you know, it just cuts through way more. Yeah, so when I do hats, just percussions in general, like I said, I will do the same thing. I kind of map out the same layout of literally just compression and transient shaping in my drums and percussions. And then for this one, I like doing this for my hi-hats where I actually find the range and sizzle where I want it to be. So I'll drop my attack and then bring up my sustain. So this is like the foundation of one of the tracks that I'm doing is it's actually trending right now. The intro being very simple. I want the people to know how simple actually things could be and how much of an impact it can make. So that's kind of like my main focus with this song, as well as like I said, the drums and the groove of everything. What I was doing with the sound design was just on some nice drilly bass with some effects, you know. So that's my main focus, is just to show how it was just a simple bass.
Yes, a vibe.
off of effects though. So like had to lock in on the effects to make that happen, you know? Yeah, that's something that I wanted to point out, as well as how when I did the counter, it just I wanted it to be just on some wah 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 wah, something different, you know? Just talking through music, talking through basses and stuff. I kind of like to do that. The writing was just very simple. So I literally, that's something that I wanted to and I still do till this day, is just keep it very simple. It still hits tough. The only thing I've changed lately is just adding more layers to my stuff, but other than that, it's still mad minimal. How I really let things flow, and how the mindset and everything that I do creatively, I try to do it in the moment. So all of this stuff, when I make it, I don't like to overthink it, and I want it to be like very in the moment. Do I feel this now? You know, the question is, am I feeling it now at this moment? Because if not, then why am I even doing it? You know? So a lot of what I'm making and that what I'm doing now moving forward, especially with my process, is just real simple. I've always took notes from a lot of the, stuff growing up, just legends in the game in general. So I just peeped game and did it on my own. I just throw this cat on here.
Yes, a vibe.
Not just playing. But yeah, the stunning cat. Well, I guess what I do for, especially for mastering and mixing down, I try to just imagine everything to be in a realm, like a box. Everything is in layers. If you can give everything its own space, that is the main focus, you know? The main focus is just to be able to hear everything in layers. And that's what I do with my mixing. So when I'm mixing, I'll turn down, things just a little bit, but sometimes you got to turn it down to make it louder, if that makes sense. It has to be in its own pocket. That's a big difference, that when people ask me, how do you mix down? It's literally just training your ear to, not everything should be fighting to be loud, pretty much. Of course you want it loud, but the only way you're going to get it loud is by putting it in its own space. Yeah, so I'll usually throw on Pro Al. What I like about Pro Al is they have this transient extra setting. So I go on it and I just pretty much see how everything, where it's chilling at.
Yes, a vibe.
I think some people get really focused on distortion and following LUFs. It's dope to pay attention to stuff like that. Like obviously I do not blow out speakers, but I do like push the sound in a way where like you can push music and it still be compressed. You can push it and you can clip in style, you know? That's something, especially with a lot of my newer tracks, it's that too. But usually when I am doing my tracks, I look for like peaking points when the track has if it's really peaking somewhere. So if it's peaking somewhere or just anywhere throughout the record, if it's going higher than 24, I feel like after that, you're just pushing it. As far as a piercing sound or something, you'll see it spike. Yo, this is Mystic, and you're locked in with Barnyard Recs. If you're trying to make some more music like this and you're trying to have the sauce, make sure you tap in. You already know what it is. We out here. Whole lot of stunning stuff. Stunning posse, man. We out here.